Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Johnny Vlogs. I'm your host, John Lorden. I actually did a search on Johnny Vlogs today, and there are a bunch of other people that have shows called Johnny Vlogs. Most of them are a bit younger than me. They seem a little bit newer to YouTube, but hey, I wish all of you Johnnies the biggest of success. Before we jump into today's topic, I have a whole bunch of people to thank, and I think this is because of last week's topic where I was telling you guys about YouTube and the new ad monetization thing. Let me just say it's still completely wacky. It doesn't make any sense. They even limited ads on my how to quit smoking video. So for those of us trying to figure out what content is doing it, what's triggering it, I have no idea. But because I told you guys about that, I think a lot of you stepped over to Patreon and really kicked it up. And I really appreciate that so much. I have a big list to get through here, so let's do it. Kirsten Wallstedt, Lori Halstead, Jason Bush, Mahina, hope I'm saying that right, The Smudge Mudge, Leah Thames, or Teams, Trace Elements 13. I know I've seen you in the comments before. Ryan Pennington, Chloe Pittman, Christina Murphy, and Brian Garland are all new pledges to the Patreon system, helping to support me, helping to keep me here. I really appreciate it, guys, each and every one of you. You have no idea how important it is, particularly with what's going on with this AdSense nonsense. But on top of that, Tabby A. McCleary really stepped up and increased their pledge, as well as Sarah Lewis, who did a major step up on her pledge as well. Thank you both so much. I really, really appreciate the help and support. And all of the positive comments and wonderful things that you guys said. It was really, really nice. I'm really happy I decided to open up to you guys and talk about that topic a little bit. It's weird. If there's just one more thing I want to let you guys know about it, whatever automated system is flagging my videos is failing critically. I mean, more than I would, at this point, I would say 80 to 90% of the videos that I challenge and I tell them to review manually, they're turning full ads back on. The problem is that review process doesn't happen for 1 to 2 days. So on the days when I'm getting most of my views, it's in this weird limited ad state. But I used to work in software development, and I could tell you, if I had one use case where there was a failure rate of over 80% of bad detections happening, I'm pretty sure that I would have been fired or transferred to some other type of work. I can't believe how that system is working. Anyway, enough with that. Let's get on to some fun stuff. So very often I will be asked by people, hey, John, what do you do to, keep balance? How do you keep yourself from not getting too down when you're looking into these cases? And I've mentioned to you guys before that, I'm certain to always kind of change the topics, especially with Brain Scratch. It's really easy because that show format is so wide. So like when things were starting to feel a little too heavy last week, I threw in an alien review episode, which I love doing. I love looking into that stuff, and it kind of helps bring me out of it because, researching so many missing persons cases and unsolved murder cases and stuff can certainly wear on you. But outside of that, I keep a very strict working schedule. I work this like a regular job. I put in my 8, sometimes 10 hours a day, and then I put it down and I go spend time with my family. I go out, I do other stuff. Try to play video games. Don't quite get as many video games in as I'd like. I like to read. I like to check out comic books. I'm still doing all that other stuff that adds things to my life. What's interesting is looking at it now, there's been a shift from things that I used to watch on YouTube, which before I was doing this type of work, I would watch a lot of, true crime stuff and fringe theory stuff and things like that. Now that's become essentially like my day job. So when I'm looking for fun, that's not the stuff that I look to anymore because I'm looking into that stuff, at least 40 hours a week as it is now anyway. So I've noticed that my YouTube flavors, things that I consume on YouTube, have actually changed as well. So it was a year ago, we did an episode of Johnny Vlogs where I told you who my top 7 YouTubers were. And I'll have that video linked down below just in case you guys didn't see it, or if you want a refresher on who those 7 were. I decided to take a look at that list again today and just think, who am I watching now? Because, things kind of change. It's a year later. I've discovered new channels. So I have a list. This is not sorted, and I'm not considering this my top YouTubers necessarily. There might be 1 or 2 of these that I would put into that list. But this is really just channels that I am now spending time with that are helping to give me some balance in terms of the content that I look to and that I consume. So number 1 on that list, and one of the bigger channels that I've been watching a lot of, is Failarmy. I just love the whole format of America's Funniest Home Videos. I actually used to work, I did some computer support for the company that produced that television show back in those days when I used to live in Southern California. I've always loved that show. It's such a simple format. It's so easy. It works. It's fun to watch something where you don't have to pay a whole lot of attention. If you don't know what's happening in a scene, it doesn't matter, because a minute or 2 later, there's a different scene that's happening. Failarmy does a really good job of collecting some of the funniest moments and then compiling them all into a video and releasing those videos fairly often. They also used to have a really cool setup at VidCon, but I didn't see it last year when I went, where you could do a bunch of like physical stunts in this kind of big padded area. Hopefully they'll bring that back. But Failarmy is a channel that I'm definitely enjoying, and it helps to rest my brain from all this research. Another channel that I've literally just discovered in the past few weeks is called Killem. And this is a guy that does kind of challenge videos. Like I just watched one today where he ate 100 Oreos. He does really weird things, like puts himself in a box and then mails himself to different places. I saw he has a video where he sleeps in a giant ball on a lake. But there's just something about his personality I really like. He's a fun guy. I really enjoy how the videos are put together. I think some of the stunts that he's doing, I'm really not sure if he's being 100%, if he's really going through with these things, or if he's faking some of the stuff. But it's always with this kind of wink and a nod. It's not like prank stuff where you're like, oh, well, that's totally fake, and this guy already knew that person. It's kind of pranky, but not in that same way. It's much more about his personality. So I've really been enjoying him lately. I also bumped into a channel, really small channel, called Cowabunga Collectibles. And this is a husband and wife team. There's one of their shows that I enjoy in particular, which is, they call it their car boot challenge. And they both take 10 pounds. They're in the UK, obviously. And they go to what's known as car boots, which is almost like I guess like a swap meet, where people are selling stuff out of the trunks of their cars. And they both try to buy nostalgia toys, primarily from the 80s and 90s, but sometimes they'll reach back into the 70s or 60s. And then sometimes it gets even more current. But basically, it's a husband versus wife type of game show, and you get to vote on who you think won that particular week. And then you come back the next week and they do another challenge and tell you who the winner was from the previous week. They are a young channel. They still don't have, I think they're just coming up on about 1,000 subs right now. But just a really cool family. Their daughter is pretty frequently in the videos. And for that particular show, the car boot sale challenge, I really love it. Sometimes the episodes can run a little long, but it's a lot of fun to watch. And the stuff that they dig up is pretty interesting, because sometimes it's, things that remind me of my childhood or toys that I had and stuff like that. So pretty cool. ETA Prime. All right. I'm still a geek. I still love geeky things, and ETA Prime, this is going to tread into a little bit of geekier stuff than I usually talk about on this channel nowadays. But ETA Prime is a channel where you can learn about Raspberry Pis, all kinds of different microcomputers, using those as emulation systems so that you could play video games on them, like old Nintendo games, Super Nintendo games, Genesis games. You can buy a Raspberry Pi, a little computer, for probably $70 if you get it like with a case and with a heat sink and a power supply and all that stuff. And if you support piracy, you really shouldn't do that. But you can load software that is free there and then get game ROMs. That's where the piracy thing comes in. Run it on that software, and essentially you can play those good old Nintendo games that maybe you actually still own and they're in your closet, but now you've got a cool little system that you could take to your friend's house. You can play it with Xbox controllers, all kinds of different controllers and stuff like that. But ETA Prime is a great channel for learning about how to do that, learning about little tricks in doing that if you want to try to optimize games, learning about all the different types of technology that's out there, bar top arcades, things like that. He's got a very likable voice. I don't think I've ever seen him in one of his videos. Just a really smooth talker. Not like smooth talker, but just nice, even tone to his voice. Great information that's coming out of him, and I really enjoy his channel a lot. So just wanted to tell you guys about it. Sticking with the geek vein, Luke the Notable. This is someone that I've been watching come up in YouTube. He's kind of gained popularity around the same time as me. He outgrew me, which I'm not mad about at all. He's awesome. But he is a guy that specializes in Halo content. So he has a lot of videos about playing Halo 5, about how you could be a better player. He also treads into Halo Wars, which I'm not that big of a fan of. But his Halo content is always really fun. Another guy that's just got a fun personality, and he's sharing it on YouTube. Over the past couple of weeks, it's been a good couple of weeks for me discovering new content. I've also fallen into a new channel called Internet Comment Etiquette with Eric. And basically, this is a guy that leaves comments on videos where he is just ranting and railing. He's the type of commenter that, quite frankly, I don't want on my channel, which I think is really interesting, that for some reason I enjoy watching him abuse other people's channels. It's another one of those things. I know I've said this a lot in this video, but it's about personality. I could see this guy being a stand-up. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's a couple of particular stand-up comedians that he kind of reminds me of. But he's just got this kind of fun way of putting his videos together. The rantings that he puts together for going into the comments are usually pretty fun. They can tread into edgy material, so if you're sensitive to that, he might not be exactly your cup of tea. But he also frequently features bigger YouTubers on his channel, like guys that are way bigger than him in terms of size. I'm not sure how he does that, but he's really good at getting big names to help on his channel. He's had Boogie on there. Jack's Films was on an episode that I just watched. So he's really good at getting those collabs together. And finally, probably one of the bigger ones on this list today, DeFranco, who does tread a little bit close to the type of content I create, but not really, because he's more of a kind of general news guy. But I really like his approach. I like his speaking pattern. He's really quick as he's moving through his video. It does have a lot of tight edits in it on top of that, but I like how he talks about topics. I like how he includes his sources down below so you can click through them. Sound familiar? And he is one of the guys that I was most excited to see when I went to VidCon this year and sat in what was called a fireside chat where he was speaking. And he's also, he's been facing the same type of challenges as me in terms of the channel, and he's been pretty open about the steps that he's taking to try to address that. So he's just one of these guys that seems to have a good heart because he's trying to help other people by sharing his experiences that he's going through as well. Some of his content, can get into a little bit of political stuff, which is certainly not my arena. But outside of that, I find his stories interesting, his format good and fun. And once again, just someone likable. Most of these guys, I would say, I would really appreciate being able to spend a little time with. It's one of those things. Maybe if I keep going to VidCon, that'll happen. I don't know. So that's it for kind of newer channels that I'm appreciating at this time that help me clear my mind and kind of carry on with my day. I'm always sure to spend time with some of these YouTubers and a bunch of other ones when I'm taking a break. I take a lunch break just like everyone else, try to pull my head out of whatever I'm researching or whatever I'm prepping, and just get my mind clear for an hour before I dive back into it. So wanted to share that with all of you guys. Hopefully you'll check some of these out, see if they're your thing, and if they are, please hit that subscribe button and become a fan of theirs too, particularly some of the smaller channels that I mentioned here. Before I go, I just want to let you guys know Spreadshirt is having a sale. I think it's still going to run today and tomorrow. It's supposed to end on August 29th. You can get 15% off of all t-shirts, including t-shirts at the Lord and Art store, with the coupon code 0817TS. 0817TS. So if there's been something Brain Scratch related or Lord and Arts related that you've been eyeing and you've been kind of sitting on, 15% off with that code. Hopefully that will get you over there to get that item that you've been so desperately waiting for. Once again, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Thanks for being there. I really appreciate it. Hope you had a nice weekend, and hopefully this will kick off a great week for you. Come back tomorrow for more right here on the Lord and Arts channel.